Commentary Booth is a show for media lovers by media lovers just like you. If you want to support the show, go to pariomagazine.com.au. Commentary Booth, where we watch and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator Jamie Apps, and each week I'll be joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by a freelance social commentator who lists their favourite movie as American Psycho and favourite TV show as Peaky Blinders. Welcome back to the show, the racehorse owning Blake Robinson.
Hey, how are we?
Not too bad. How's the horse been doing?
Look, just another thing pay bills. Speaking of racehorse dogs barking. Hang on a minute. This is a great start. There we go. We're back. They just have no respect, do they, dogs, when it comes to recordings?
Yeah, it's just like, pay attention to me right now. I don't care what you're doing.
Like, they won't bark all day. Then as soon as we start recording, it's game on for them.
Yep. So yeah, we're back again, episode 101 after last week's special episode 100.
Wow,
so
we're doing a special 101 Dalmatians episode.
If they do a live action remake.
Movies.
Well, if they've done a live action remake.
Didn't the latest film sort of end? Was it Cruella? That sort of ended with a bit of suspense, didn't it? From memory?
Oh yeah, it definitely sort of left it open as we might come back and revisit this franchise.
Trying to remember it. It was a very good movie, that one.
Oh yeah, very. So yeah, like we mentioned in the episode 100, we're kicking the new sort of season off with a new format. Before we dive into this week's episode, we probably should give a quick overview of what that new format is moving forward. So moving forward, we want to help everyone avoid that endless every weekend scrolling through the streaming services looking for something to watch. So each week we're going to have, each co-host is going to pick a show or a movie that they've watched over the last week, and we will both sit down and watch the two topics fully, and then we're going to come back and deep dive and ultimately give you one single recommendation at the end of each episode, so that you don't have to sit there and scroll through everything. All you have to do is turn on the various streaming service and hit play and be good to go. Know you're going to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this week we have decided we're going to do a Netflix horror themed episode. So let's dive into the spookiness with the first topic, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 Netflix sequel to the very original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Surface level, what did you think of the film?
I certainly have an opinion on this one. I had high expectations. I don't know why I had high expectations. Maybe it's ruined it for me. It just, I don't know. It was tacky. It was a bit cheesy. It was rushed, I thought. I don't know. It wasn't taken seriously. And it was like it was almost like a ripoff of Halloween.
Yeah, it was basically like Netflix's cheap slasher gore fest version of
just
a horror movie. Like
a straight like rip of the Halloween movies, this one. But nowhere near as good.
It didn't add any, like, it didn't take a slasher movie to the next level or anything. It was very just surface level. We're just going to kill a lot of people really gruesomely and graphically, and that should be enough to satiate everyone.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It was just like up there with the Sharknadoes, I thought. As far as like, if you're going to put it into a category. I don't know. I was very disappointed with it. It had potential. I was actually, when I first started playing it, what did it say, like an hour and 23 minutes? I was like, oh, this is already starting off on a bad foot. Like, it's a pretty short film, and and you could straight away they pretty much got straight into it. There was no real
Oh, yeah.
sort of character build up.
Yeah, there's no sort of messing around. It gets right into
don't get me wrong, it was
action.
entertaining. Like, I don't regret watching it. It was entertaining, and like I'm not going to steer people away from watching it. Like, definitely chuck it on. It's late Sunday arvo, Sunday night one, even like a midweek one. It's not going to give you nightmares.
Yeah, like I think I watched it.
It's definitely worth watching. It just did not live up
Friday or
to
Saturday
my
night.
expectations.
Agreed. I don't think it was as good as it could have been, and the trailer made it look so awesome.
Oh, yeah. That's what I meant. That's why I had high expectations. The trailer was so well made. But like, yeah, I just
have you watched the original? That like this is the sequel to the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Have you watched the original?
I haven't watched the 1974 one, no.
Okay, so yeah, when I saw that this was coming out, I went back and watched the original because it's on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
So I went back and watched that, and that's an experience watching a movie from the 70s in modern times. Like
it's different. Hey, it's got to be a really good movie,
and it doesn't rely on those like really like it's gory at points, but not like this one.
This one is going back and watch 80s movies is tough.
Yeah, like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre has a lot more like substance to it, and the character's creepier. Like the character's weird. Like he's a lot different to this one, but yeah, I think the original is better. This one acting as a sequel, even though it's the 9th in the franchise, is a little bit weird. Like they've just retconned and ignored the other 8 movies that have been made in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And when they did that, they really needed to make sure this one was like an absolute cult classic that's going to stand the test of time, whereas I don't think they've quite hit that level.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt rushed in the end. Like I don't know. I don't get why the movie was so short.
Well, that probably comes down to the production issues that they had with this movie. So it originally began filming in Bulgaria in 2020 with Ryan and Andy Tohill as the directors helming the production. But then the studio was apparently so unimpressed with what they had filmed after a set amount of time that they were both fired. And then David Blue Garcia, who is the director of this version, came in as a replacement, and they scrapped all of the footage that the two brothers had filmed. So Garcia basically had to restart the entire production and start all over.
A salvage job.
Yeah, so it sounds like, he just got, here's a script. You have probably half the budget you would have if you were starting this out yourself, and go for it. And then this is sort of what we got. Like
one thing I did pick up on that was sort of distracting is the old lady that she was a survivor from the original. I gathered.
Yep.
Gave off big like Laurie Strode vibes from Halloween. Almost very similar looking character too, like appearance wise. So sort of comes in to save the day from all the kids, and like, this is my fight to fight. Like, you guys get out of here. I got beef with this. Like, this is personal for me.
Yeah, like
I was already convinced this is like a Halloween ripoff before that. Then I was like, oh my God, this is the Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode character in a nutshell. The exact same, everything better.
Oh, very. And which is weird, like, because the original actress
out for blood.
They try to, obviously this being a sequel, it picks up several decades after.
Was she the original actress?
No, that's why it was that's why it was a weird choice, because the original actress had passed away before they made this movie. So they had the option to recast someone that didn't look like Laurie Strode, and they still went that route. And it's like the character arc is already very similar. Let's try and pick someone that looks different, not quite similar. So
I also got a bit confused. The first time that character got introduced, I thought it was the old lady who owned the orphanage at the start.
Hmm.
I thought, I was like, hang on, is this the same person? They look very similar. So that confused me a bit. They really didn't cast it brilliantly, I don't think.
Yeah, like
But they had like it was up to date, I guess, in the fact that they really brought a lot of Gen X type like slang terms and little Easter eggs in there with that busload of people came in. Like a lot of things like an older sort of middle-aged crowd wouldn't understand, because I know I watched it with my mum and dad, and stuff just went over their head that was said, like jokes about technology and whatnot, modern day things.
yeah, yeah, like watching that 1974 one, it's basically about a van load of like 4 or 5 teenage friends that are traveling through Texas and run into Leatherface. Whereas this one is several decades later, and it's about a Gen X social media influencer crowd that have decided to buy this random town that's basically gone to
Harlow.
crap in Harlow, Texas. Yeah, gone to crap. So they've bought the whole town and they're going to sort of gentrify it and make it this really cool place for the it crowd of Texas to come and
Yeah,
live.
like
And
I suppose turn it into like a little mini Austin, Texas, like a little hipsterville
yeah,
in the
basically that's
desert. But there's some demons living there that they got to get rid of.
yeah. So they kick out the old lady from what turns out to be her actual house. They didn't actually buy the deed for that one,
Yeah, see,
which was a
that's a
weird
lot
thing.
of
Like,
story. It's a bit of dialogue that sort of got missed. Hey, I felt we should have known more information about that or why they were coming to town. Then all of a sudden, there's all this issue with the deeds, but we didn't really know anything about it. But I
oh
felt
yeah,
like they
like
built
they
it into
very
the
much
story.
gloss
Like
over
it
some
was,
of that stuff.
yeah.
They have
I
like
know there's at least 45 minutes of this movie missing.
yeah, there's like one or two like just quick scenes where they're like, oh yeah, we actually don't have that deed. It must be in the office, and then
Like, don't get me
it
wrong.
later turns out that they find it in the house and like, oh whoops, hang on. Like
Yeah, I love
surely
the
you would
violence,
know
but
if you
it's
didn't
just
buy
hell for leather.
one town.
Yeah, they just got
Like,
straight into it. I don't like that. I want to be spooked a bit first and creeped out.
oh yeah, there's no like tension building.
I think that's what was good about the original Halloween in 2018. Like the Mike Myers character, they really, from the gas station scenes into the mental prison or whatnot, they really built it up heaps until he finally got into it.
Yep.
Whereas in this one, like Leatherface, just spoiler alert, appears at the top of the stairs, and you're like, oh, well, I guess that's him then. Like, there's no mystery. Like, oh, that's obviously him. And you're like, oh, he's appeared within 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, even in the original, they do a lot more like, let's build the tension. Let's not dive right into it. But then when they do, it goes
Yeah.
crazy really quick. But yeah, this one, Leatherface is just there. I did like the moment where they actually put the mask on for the first time, though. That was probably the coolest sequence of the movie.
That was another thing that reminded me of Halloween. The way Mike Myers gets his mask out of the boot of the car at like the gas station, then he like reveals it slowly and shows it,
holds it up,
and then just like puts it on. It was the
Yep.
exact same.
Yeah,
I'm just a Halloween fanboy, I guess. I'm being protective of my franchise.
I think yeah, him holding that the skin of that girl, that lady up, was like the coolest thing in the movie. But everything else is very cheesy, like you mentioned with the social media stuff.
When they crashed the police, as the same as when they crashed that the psych ward bus. Then like Leatherface is the only one that survives.
Yeah, that's true. They
It's the
just-
exact same. There's
they
so many
just
other things I picked up like that.
they
It was
really
good.
did
I
just
like
use
that little
Halloween as a
sequence when they were-
template.
Yeah, honestly, like yeah, but it was entertaining. But yeah, I think the trailer really built up my expectations way too high. I was proper keen to watch this movie based on what I've seen in the trailer.
Yep. I also didn't like the sort of commentary on school shootings and gun violence in America. That was like really weird and like didn't feel like it fit in this movie at all. Like the girl that had the trauma from the school shooting.
Ah, yeah, that was unnecessary put in, eh?
Yeah,
But
because at the
that's,
end she ends up using the gun totally fine. It's just like well, that was. It
but yeah,
didn't
that's
feel
what I
like
mean
it
about.
built to anything.
That's what I mean about like the Gen X Easter eggs and all that. Like they're trying to be too relevant. Like
Yep.
the first big alarm bell was the Tesla, like the opening scene. It's like a Tesla. Like here we go. Then they're like some hipsters out stuck in the desert in Cowboy Town.
Yep.
Then they're like straight on their iPhones, and yeah, it's a big crossover. Yeah, they were trying to be a bit too relevant, I think, with current affairs in the real world.
And there weren't any like, not that I can recall, like big jump scare moments either. They were.
No, there was nothing. There was some sort of haunting scenes, like when who went into the fields? The Laurie Strode ripoff went into the cornfield, and she shined a torch on the old lady, and her face was missing.
Yep.
Like there was some stuff like that, which is a bit like, oh, that's pretty hectic. But yeah, there's definitely no jump scare scenes, and I didn't have any trouble sleeping.
Yeah, like it was. It's for a horror
It
movie.
wasn't
It
scary. It
it
was like
didn't.
it was almost pretty cool. Like the whole fact that he ripped her like her face off and wore that, and they showed that. Like it wasn't scary, but it was like, well, that's pretty sick.
Yeah,
It
like
definitely
it
wasn't.
didn't
It wasn't haunting at all.
for a horror movie. It didn't build the tension to make you like feel
Mm.
anxious watching it, and then it didn't hit you with any jump scare moments either. It was kind of just. It felt kind of like the Saw movies where it just
It wasn't even horror
is a
though. It
gore
was
fest
just
for
like
the sake of it.
a violent thriller, maybe.
Yep.
Definitely wasn't any horror in it.
Yeah,
Like it
like
wasn't
it's just
scary. It was just violent.
yeah, like it's just like the Saw movies. It's like you're not coming in to watch this and be scared. You're coming in to just watch this and see people
Being
die
absolutely
in
freaked out
crazy,
and
gruesome
like,
ways.
yeah, and do your best to keep your eyes on the screen. There's some pretty gnarly kills that they like. It got a bit out of hand when he went on the bus and started getting
Just
into it.
murdered everyone on the bus.
When that chick got cut in half, that was pretty hectic. That's what I mean. That's like with all the cheesy like shark movies you see. Like what was that 47 Under? Like they're just way over the top.
Yep. Even
Like make
like
it unbelievable.
even that moment where Leatherface snaps and kills the cop at the very start, like that was full on.
Um, with the oxygen tank.
Yeah, when the cop puts his hand on the oxygen tank and he just grabs his arm and snaps his forearm
Oh,
in
in the back
half
when I
and
was still
then
driving. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then stabs the cop with his own forearm bone. It's like
Yeah, that's sort of a bit
that was full
unprecedented.
on.
Yeah.
And but yeah, there's a lot of plot holes that you need to just overlook in this movie. Don't go in like
Uh,
holding this to a
Anyway, here's a
high
tip:
regard or
if
anything.
you haven't watched the trailer, don't watch the trailer. Just watch the movie. You might actually really like enjoy it. I didn't. It was just the trailer set way too high the bar for me.
Yeah, like I had fun,
That
but
tends
yeah,
to happen. So yeah, that's what I meant. I don't regret watching it. I definitely tell people to watch it. But
yeah,
it's a bit of fun.
just look out for those plot holes. Ignore them. Just enjoy the ride. Like
Yeah, exactly.
the biggest plot hole for me was Lila, that older survivor character, when
Yeah.
at the very end sequence where she's a Leatherface puts the chainsaw through her chest and then
Wait,
lifts her
she's still
up.
alive.
He lifts
Then
her
she's
up
like,
into the air and she's hanging off the end of a
bro, she
chainsaw.
should have died instantly. Then next minute, she's like laying on the arms to like
Yeah,
slowly dying. Like,
she
freaking hell.
shoots she shoots
As
Leatherface
soon as that chainsaw went in, she should have been dead.
and then gives like final words of encouragement to one of the other girls, like, yeah, you need to run or don't run. Like if you run, he's just going to keep chasing you. And it's like, shouldn't
Oh,
you be
even
dead? Like you were just hanging off a chainsaw.
was it? Yeah, the original black character. He was. I thought he was. Everyone like. Then he gets up and he all of a sudden he drops dead when he's walking away. Like he had all this time to die. Then all of a sudden he. I know that just heaps of stuff didn't add up.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want to. I don't know. I don't want to spoil the end too much because. Like I feel there could be another movie. Maybe.
Oh, there's There's definitely they
Maybe
definitely
they've
like
left it open without
they
giving too
definitely
much
leave
away.
it open. I did
You
like
might want to put it in.
without giving away. I loved that final shot. That final shot was so
pretty
good,
epic.
and if you've watched the original, it's like wow, that's spot on.
Yeah. They left it open. Let's just say that. So maybe there's redemption coming. Maybe it was an hour and a half or less than an hour and a half long for a reason.
One of the interesting factoids I noticed rewatching the 1974 version is the title Texas Chainsaw Massacre does not fit with that original movie.
For this movie,
For this one, it does. Like this one, Leatherface murders probably 40 people with a chainsaw.
I feel as though they really forced the use of the chainsaw in this, though, just because it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like,
yeah, whereas
the chainsaw wasn't his like weapon of choice, really. He sort of rushed to use it and put it in his hands.
Whereas in the 1974 version, only one person is killed with a chainsaw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's all like he puts a hook in someone's back and hangs them in a freezer. He absolutely pulverizes someone's head with a sledgehammer, and yeah, the chainsaw is only used once in a movie called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Whereas in this one, they overcompensate and everyone dies with a chainsaw.
They're like, hey, they're probably, I reckon they've forgotten, like, oh shit, this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He needs a chainsaw, not a hammer.
Yeah, so he just.
This is the movie I was thinking of, Leatherface. Have you seen that? 2017, yeah.
Probably, but I can't remember it. But like, yeah, this one just totally ignores all of it.
It's on Apple Music. Apple Music, Apple TV.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I think that's one I remember watching. Oh, like it's a cult classic story, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're never going to stop making movies about it.
Yeah, and
like a modern day Netflix series about it would be good. Like with this sort of vibe, like a lot of backstory on why these kids are taking over Harlow, more backstory on like the original murders and all that sort of stuff. You could definitely make a mini series out of it.
Yeah,
like if they wanted to put in the time and get some dialogue out there.
Well, given that this was at the time of us recording is the top movie on Netflix, I can't imagine they won't follow up and do another one.
How does it become the top movie? People clicking on it, or
yeah, so it's usually for like,
or do they push it themselves?
It's usually for like each month they'll say like, you know how they have the top 10, like the trending things on Netflix. It's the top thing at the moment, so I can't imagine they'll just trash it and not do any more with it because it's doing so well for them.
Yeah.
One of the other little sort of Easter eggs I loved was when they show the sign for Harlow, the population is 1974. As a
really? Jeez, you done well there.
As an echo to the movie. Like, that's cool. That's a cool little thing. But overall, yeah, the film, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, man.
Just don't go in expecting too much. Just go in, enjoy the gore.
It wasn't
crazy
shot. It was an entertaining, violent film.
And now a quick word from our sponsors. First up is Decorate and Dance. For them, life is a party. With the world reopening and parties now becoming much more viable, if you're hosting a party, then all of the ingredients you need for a good time start with the 3 Ds. Design, decorate, and dance. You can't have a party without a theme, design, balloons, florals, and decorations, and some good tunes, dancing. The team over at Decorate and Dance can provide it all. Specializing in kids' parties, adult parties, hens nights, baby showers, corporate events, and weddings, Decorate and Dance are your one-stop shop. Book a designer, decorations, and a DJ for your party to be remembered at www.decorateanddance.com.au. Next up is LF9 Designs. Are you in need of a new logo, event posters, Twitch overlays or emotes, or perhaps even merchandise designs? Look no further than LF9 Design for all of your graphic design needs. The team at LF9 Design can create anything that you need to suit all styles. Check them out on Instagram at LF9Design. Maison de Femmes create romantic, handmade, gold-filled jewelry for lovers and dreamers. Each piece is handmade and personally shipped by Jess Kumanovsky of Australia. If you are looking for an amazing and unique piece for a loved one, then look no further than Maison de Femmes. Maison de Femmes can be found online at maisondefemmes.com. That's MAISONDEFEMMES.com. And finally, Tegan Tag Photography. If you're ready for something a little different, ready to stray from the path of a traditional photo session, then get in touch with Tegan Tag Photography. Tegan specializes in water photography, family photo sessions, maternity shoots, and any type of photography incorporating Mother Nature. Bookings with Tegan can be made online at tegantag.com.au. That's www.teegantagg.com.au. On the other end of the spectrum, you recommended we watch Archive 81. Do you want to just give us a quick sort of rundown on what happens in that show?
Yeah, so what is it? Like an 8-part series, Netflix original. Here we go. Someone else has got something to say about it. Yeah, so basically there's this guy that so this young bloke who he restores like videotapes, VHS, all this sort of stuff. He gets approached by this, I don't know what you would call it. It's almost like a secret service. They don't really. Anyway, so an apartment building, there's like a haunted apartment building. It burns down in is it New York?
Yep.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, and a lot of creepy stuff has happened there over the years, and a lady at the time moved there to start filming and interviewing all the residents to see what was going on. And in her time, she found out all this creepy cult activity happening within and beneath the building. And when it burned to the ground, they recovered all her footage from her like home videotapes. And so, and I don't know how to, without giving too much away, why this particular guy was chosen. And they put him into this remote facility. It's almost like a Big Brother house, and they personally choose him to restore all these videotapes and watch everything that's on them. And basically while he's watching the tapes, he finds out a lot about his life and about his dad. And it's certainly like a targeted attack. And what he reviews on these tapes pretty much haunts him.
Yep. Yeah, so it's got like sci-fi horror elements. Like you said, 8 episodes, about an hour each, 45 minutes to an hour each.
There's a little bit of sci-fi, like just enough for me to tolerate. Like it wasn't out of control. It was I think it's a good mix. It was really well put together, like a very, very unique storyline. I felt like I felt it kept going. Those just kept taking turns, and everything just fit in perfectly. Like all the characters, the whole storyline. It was so well written. They didn't miss any detail in that aspect.
Yeah, it does a great job of, if you can get to the end, it does a great job of like wrapping everything up nicely. But for me, it started a little bit too slow though.
Yeah, it definitely did for the first couple of episodes. But I was like, I'm going to stick to this because I knew what was going to unfold, and I was like, I'm very curious to see how this ends. That's what pushed me through it. Yeah, and it was like very solid. It was definitely a slow burn. It's definitely not a phone scroller. But,
oh no, you have to pay attention. But yeah,
I really wanted to push through it because I knew it was going to be a very interesting ending.
Yeah, like you have to get through probably the first 3. I think I almost gave up after the 4th.
Yeah, I did too, man. But I knew it was
I pushed through, and
I heard great things about it.
If you get through to that second half of the season, that's when it really starts to sort of answer all the questions that it's it's posed, and that's when it all starts to take
It was
form.
definitely
You understand what's going on.
Definitely a lot of like whoa moments for me, like plot twists and stuff that started, like you said, starts answering a lot of questions you might have had. Like, hang on, what's going on here? Like, but there are a lot of big plot twists.
I'm assuming you recognized the lead actor, Mamadou Athie.
Yeah, he was out of Uncorked.
Yep.
I had to look it up, man. I was like, where do I know this guy from?
Why do I know this bloke?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, where is he from? And that's honestly all I think he's done.
So he's done a movie called The Circle. He's in the movie Underwater as well, which is a really good watch. And yeah, Uncorked. And then the girl that is in all the videos, Dina Shihabi, play as Melody Pendris, has been in Daredevil, Jack Ryan, and the other Netflix sci-fi series Altered Carbon. So what I didn't realize was this show is based on a podcast, which makes me want to go and listen to the podcast because there's 3 seasons of the podcast.
Yes, I did know this. I completely forgot until you just mentioned that.
So yeah, like the way this sort of all wraps up at the end, it makes me think that obviously they'll probably continue and do more seasons, but I kind of want to just go and forget waiting for the show. Just go and listen to the next 2 seasons of the podcast.
There's actually a bit of a podcast storyline inside this as well.
Well, yeah, essentially like the video tapes are like a podcast. And his best friend is a podcaster.
Yeah, the best friend runs the like an OG podcaster before like online podcasts, so to speak.
Yeah. And yeah, like as the show goes on, we sort of uncover demonic entities, like time and interdimensional travel, like conspiracy theories.
They slowly
the occult. They just add more and more elements, and yeah, you really have to be paying attention.
It all worked.
It all makes sense.
It all worked out. It wasn't too much. I didn't try to put too much in. It all just sort of worked together nicely.
For me, it kind of felt like a mixture of the Blair Witch Project and Midsummer. Like it had that sort of real creepy found footage idea from Blair Witch, but then also had like the modern take of like a Midsummer.
Yeah, Midsummer.
It's asking questions and unsettling, like you don't know what's going on, who is doing what.
Yeah. Like if they drug these people into, then that's where I got like Shutter Island vibes from it as well.
Yep. But yeah,
like hang on, is this just all in their head? Like are they actually psychotic here? Like
yeah,
like drug them? Like,
and I think it's
for the Melody Pendris character and for what was his name? The lead,
Daniel Turner.
Yeah, for both characters, like because when he goes on his walks, he like sees all this stuff.
Yeah, they make you think he's having a mental breakdown.
Yeah, well, yeah, they get in his head and can try to convince him that he is.
Yep.
But like maybe they could have been like pushing some sort of gas or drug out of the aircon or in the water of the house he was living in. Like, you never know what can happen there.
Yeah, and I think like even in, I think it's episode 7, they actually send him home and basically try to convince him that, yeah, you had a mental breakdown, so we had to send you home, not...
Yeah, what'd they do? He knocked him out, didn't he?
Yeah. The dude that has employed him basically hits him with a pipe and knocks him out and sends him home.
There was a previous person who did the same job as him at that facility looking at videotapes. It was for the Vista apartment building too, yeah? Was he looking at the same tapes, this guy?
Yep.
They didn't really mention too much why he was chosen, did they? Or what connection did he have to the apartment building? They didn't really, did they? So like it was Daniel's dad was the connection. But this other guy that was Daniel's like the predecessor, they didn't really mention what his connection was. So that would have been good to know.
Well, yeah, maybe that's something we get into in season 2 and possibly season 3. The show has yet to be renewed, but given how popular it has been since it came out, I will be shocked if they don't follow up with subsequent seasons, because it's been watched for 128.5 million hours since January 9th.
Sheesh.
It has proved to be incredibly popular. If they don't do more seasons, I'll be stunned. Did you notice?
It was too well made. It was very well put together. Like, there's got to be more. Like, they can't just have that high production and that good of a storyline to just stop there.
Yeah, and like with Netflix, 3 seasons tends to be like where a lot of shows max out, and this has 3 seasons of a podcast, so I think it would be a perfect opportunity for them to create a fully formed story in 3 seasons of a show.
Without spoiling, listen to the podcast and spoiling it, I can definitely see there being more to be told.
Yep. Did you notice the little thing in the reflection at the end of the last episode as well?
Oh, I can't remember.
So basically after we get through the weird like time interdimensional travel, when spoiler Daniel wakes up and he looks out the window, in the reflection of the window is the Twin Towers. So
I picked that up straight away. That was way too obvious. Yeah, I'm saying straight away.
Yep. So that suggests that he's gone back to the 1990s, and season 2 will probably be him trying to get back to modern times. It was pretty much set current day, hey, like 2020, around this time. Yeah, so Daniel's supposed to be modern times, and then the Visa
straight away. And they made sure everyone's seen that too.
Like, it's not subtle. Like, it's pretty obvious. So that
stupid not to pick that up.
And then MTV News on the TV when he wakes up is talking about the death of Kurt Cobain. So it's definitely
that's it too.
He's gone back to the 90s. So I'm interested to see that, because like the 90s are rife with like, they have a particular style and lots of cultural references that they can play into. So that'll be interesting to see that happen.
Because when Melody Pendriss was living in the Vista, that was the 90s, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. But before that, maybe a 3rd season of like, go back to the original like site of the building, when the original cult family and that was there. That could be another thing.
Yeah, with like not knowing how the podcast goes, I imagine season 2 will be the 90s, and then in order to sort of solve this issue, Daniel and Melody are going to end up having to go back to the 60s or whatever that first time period is. And
there was sort of like a throwback episode in there too, wasn't there? Like in Bly Manor, they had that whole episode of the original family, like in black and white.
Yep. I didn't like that. Didn't like that episode. That was weird.
In Bly Manor. There was an episode like that in this show. Archive 81, wasn't it? There was, wasn't it? Yeah. I remember correctly.
Yeah. I felt like that was unnecessary in this show. They could have cut that out and explained more on the actual story. Like, they didn't need to go back to that yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of like the 90s, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that, you know how they had that 70s show? I'm pretty sure they're making a show like that 90s show now.
Really? That would be sick.
Yeah, I'm super keen for it. I read that. I was like, that sounds awesome.
That would be so relevant.
It'd be really like trippy to watch too. Like I'm keen for that.
Have a banging cast.
Alrighty. So yeah, that's the 2 major topics. Is there anything else that you're looking forward to in the next few weeks as well?
There is, staying on the theme of scaries, we'll call it. I don't know anyone else that knows about this. I don't know how I found it, but there's a movie coming out called Studio 666. Did you manage to catch the trailer?
Yes. The Foo Fighters.
What is going on here?
Horror
this is like
flick?
I don't know. I don't know what the go is with this. I didn't know anything about it until I somehow stumbled across the trailer.
Yeah, like,
so it's hard. It's sort of like the Foo Fighters play themselves in it, but it's sort of like a made up storyline. There's a lot of cameos in it.
It looks kind of like they're doing a sort of half documentary, like this is how we made a record, but then adding in these crazy horror, supernatural elements to just take it to the next level. And
yeah, so it's sort of started.
I assume it plays in
Taylor Hawkins.
I assume it plays into like whatever the theme of their next record is, and this will come out, and then shortly after they'll put out a record.
A few things I noticed. I mentioned I'm currently reading Dave Grohl's new autobiography, and the chapter I read last night was when they recorded Foo Fighters' third studio album in like 1997. They went back to his hometown in Virginia, and he built a studio in his mum's basement of his like family home. That's when they recorded their third album. And he gave the nickname to the Studio 606.
Okay, so yeah, it sounds like they're sort of
So it's like, and
half telling the story of that and then making it a horror movie at the same time.
Yeah. So, and also they basically, in the trailer, it looks like they hire a mansion and set up like a recording studio for their album in this big old house. But along the way, they find out like the house is haunted.
Yeah, like it looks like it could be a very interesting movie to watch.
Like another like real life aspect too, like the Manson murder house in Shallow Drive. Before that got knocked down, 9 Inch Nails and Trent Reznor hired that house out and set up a recording studio, and they recorded the Downward Spiral album there. You know, it's a lot like that. Yeah, did you know that?
No, that's cool.
And they actually filmed a Marilyn Manson video at the house too.
Of course they did.
So Downward Spiral, I think half the record was recorded at the Manson murder house.
Interesting. So yeah. I don't know. So that Studio 666
one. There's a lot of cameos in it. I think I picked up at least Lionel Richie, Dave Navarro in the trailer from memory.
The trailer looked interesting, but it wasn't enough to like convince me to run out to the cinema to watch
cheesy. It looks cheesy as hell.
I feel like we'll wait until that one hits a streaming service, and then we'll dive in and do an episode on that one.
Is it even? I can't see this ending up in the cinemas anyway.
They are putting it out in cinemas, but I imagine it'll be a short run, and then it'll be on a streaming service relatively quickly.
I don't know. I can't remember hearing anything about this getting announced or getting made. It just randomly popped up. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, it randomly came into my inbox as well.
It looks like a ball of fun, though.
Yeah, and then for me, there's a couple of things coming in the next sort of week, 2 weeks. There's a movie called No Exit coming to Disney, and then there's another one called Fresh, and they're two sort of horror movies that look like they could be interesting. So I'll probably check those out when they drop, and then if they're good, I will recommend it to either you or one of the other co-hosts, and we'll dive into it. But if they're terrible, I'm just going to skip.
No Exit sounds promising of title alone.
And Fresh looks cool based on the trailer, but we'll see.
Well, we've just got stung by a trailer in this episode, so
exactly.
I'll hold it to that.
Trailers can
trailer sting. They get you. They can get you.
Alrighty. What would be out of the two that we watched this week, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Archive 81? Which one would you be recommending the highest?
I reckon these are for two different kinds of people, for sure. I can't give one recommendation over the other, because I think everyone, don't be deterred by what we said about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's very entertaining. Just don't go in with high expectations of like a crazy horror movie. It's like a fun modern day slasher. But Archive 81, definitely very well made, great unique storyline, and it's a bit of a slow burn, but it's entertaining for sure.
Yep. Yeah, for me, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre just got over the top for me in terms of just pure entertainment value. But like we said, Archive 81 is a fantastic show once you complete it, but it would be very easy. You
just got to get over the hump. Yeah.
Very easy to give up after 2 episodes. So at least Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you go into that knowing what you're in for, it's just going to be a crazy gore fest. You're going to have
everyone
a great time.
Has an hour and a half spare time. No, not everyone has 8 hours spare time. But I think the Archive 81, it could be one of those ones where sort of jump out of the ground when season 2 starts coming out.
Oh yeah. Because I imagine Netflix will push it hard, and then that's when a lot of people will go, all right, I hear this is a great show, I'm going to come back and watch it, and then next year it'll be big.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty. thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow me on social media at JamieAppsMedia and at Pario Magazine. And you can follow Blake on Twitter at Captain Crumbs with a Z. The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Apps Media. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Blake Robinson, Brian and June Hart, Courtney Paulson, Darren Hatcliffe, Jackson Carr, and Tracy Apps.